Commander Hayok stood on the bridge of the Velkari exploration ship, his scaled hands moving over the control panels with practiced ease. To everyone around him, he looked like any other Velkari officer. His skin had the same green-brown color, his eyes were the same yellow shade, and his movements matched their careful, deliberate way of walking. But underneath the biosuit that changed his appearance, Hayok was completely human. The ship moved slowly through space toward a small blue planet, Earth. Hayok had been waiting for this moment for 3 years, ever since he joined this exploration crew. The Velkari had finally decided to check out this little world in what they called the Outer Territories. They had no idea what they were about to find. Rektal called the ship's captain, using Hayok's fake Velkari name. "What do your sensors show about this planet?" Hayok looked at his screens, which showed exactly what he wanted them to show. "The planet has basic life forms, Captain. I see some radio signals, but they are very simple. Primitive technology only." The Yao Captain nodded his large reptilian head. "As we expected, these outer worlds rarely develop anything interesting." Dr. Minji Park, who was also disguised as a Velkari scientist named Thexera, walked over to join them. Like Hyuk, she wore a biosuit that made her look completely alien. She had been working on Velkari ships for 5 years now, studying their technology and culture. "I would like to take some closer readings of the planet," Minji said in the Velkari language. "For scientific purposes, of course." "Of course, Thexara," the captain replied. "But be careful. These primitive worlds sometimes have diseases or other dangers." Minji nodded and walked to her station. As she worked, she sent a message through her hidden communication device. The message was very short and looked like random static to anyone who might intercept it. But to the humans watching from hidden bases around the solar system, it meant, "They have arrived." Beginning the show. Far below on Earth, Jinwoo sat in a control room buried deep under the Pacific Ocean. The room was huge, filled with hundreds of screens and control panels. Thousands of people worked here, managing what looked like the most advanced technology in the galaxy, but none of the aliens above would ever see this place. "All stations, prepare for Contact Protocol 7, Jinwoo announced into his headset. Around the hidden base, people began working at their stations. On the surface of Earth, everything looked normal and primitive. Cities had basic buildings, cars drove on simple roads, and radio towers sent out old-fashioned signals. But all of this was carefully managed theater. The real human civilization was hidden far below ground and in secret space stations scattered throughout the galaxy. "Monitoring Station Alpha report," Jinwoo said. "All surface activities showing normal primitive patterns," came the reply. "We have actors playing farmers in the fields, office workers in the cities, and scientists in basic laboratories. Everything looks like a young civilization that just learned to build rockets." "Good. Station Beta, what about our space assets?" "All advanced satellites have been moved to the dark side of the moon. Only the primitive ones remain visible. Our space stations are running in stealth mode. To their sensors, we look like we barely made it off our own planet." Back on the Velkari ship, the science team gathered to study their readings of Earth. Hyuk and Minji joined the meeting, along with 12 real Velkari officers. "The readings are clear," announced the head scientist, a tall Velkari named Porthek. "This species has only basic nuclear technology. Their space program appears to be very limited. They have launched some simple satellites and sent a few small ships to their moon, but nothing more." Minji pretended to study her data carefully. "I agree with these findings. They show signs of early scientific development, but they are at least 300 years away from faster-than-light travel, maybe longer." "What about their society?" asked another officer. Hyuk activated a screen that showed images from Earth's surface. These images had been carefully prepared by the human teams below. They showed cities that looked busy but simple, people working with basic technology, and governments that seemed to struggle with their own planet's problems. "They appear to be divided into many small nations," Hyuk explained. "They fight with each other often. Their attention is focused on their own world. I see no signs that they even think about life on other planets." This was, of course, completely false. Humans had been traveling between stars for over 500 years. They had colonies in dozens of star systems, trade relationships with alien species the Velkari had never even heard of, and technology that could easily destroy this exploration ship. But the Velkari would never learn any of this. "Should we make contact?" asked a young Velkari officer. Captain Rothmal shook his head. "The Galactic Council has clear rules about primitive worlds. We observe, we record, but we do not interfere. These humans need time to develop on their own." "How much time?" the young officer asked. "Perhaps 500 years, the captain replied. "Maybe 1,000. When they develop proper space travel and show they can work together as one species, then we will consider making contact." Minji and Hyok exchanged a quick look. If only these aliens knew that humans had been members of the galactic community longer than some of the species in the Velkari Republic. The exploration continued for 2 more weeks. The Velkari took thousands of pictures, recorded radio signals, and studied human behavior from orbit. Everything they saw supported the idea that Earth was a young world with a primitive species. During this time, Admiral Taman watched everything from a hidden command station in the asteroid belt. The station was built inside a large asteroid and was completely invisible to Velkari sensors. From here, he coordinated the careful deception. "How are our people doing?" Taman asked his aide. "Hyok and Minji are performing perfectly," the aide reported. The Velkari completely believe their disguises. The surface actors are also doing well. Every interaction supports our primitive civilization story. And our real operations? All hidden. We moved 15 cargo ships to other star systems before the Velkari arrived. Our deep space mining operations are silent. Even our Mars colonies have gone dark. To the Velkari, we look like we have never left our home planet. Taman nodded. This was how humanity survived in a galaxy full of older, supposedly more advanced species. They stayed hidden, they learned everything about everyone else, and they slowly, carefully built their influence. Most alien species thought they were alone or nearly alone in the galaxy. They had no idea how many human agents lived among them, looking just like them, working in their governments and businesses. On the final day of their visit, the Velkari held a meeting to decide what to put in their official report. Classification: Primitive World, Level 7, Captain Rothmal announced. Species shows early signs of scientific development but remains focused on local concerns. No space travel capability beyond their immediate solar system. Estimated time to galactic readiness 500 to 1,000 years. A recommendation? Asked Porthek. Standard monitoring protocols. We will return in 50 years to check their progress. If they advance faster than expected, we may return sooner. Minji added her scientific opinion to the record. I recommend we do not interfere with their natural development. The species shows promise, but they need time to mature socially and technologically. As the Velkari ship prepared to leave, Hyok stood on the bridge one last time, looking down at Earth. Green. Planet looked so peaceful and innocent from space. No one could see the massive cities under the oceans, the industrial complexes built into mountains, or the thousands of ships that normally traveled between Earth and its hidden colonies. A pretty little world, commented Captain Rothmal. Perhaps their children will join us among the stars someday. Perhaps they will, Hyok agreed, hiding his smile. The Velkari ship activated its faster-than-light drive and disappeared into the darkness between stars. As soon as they were gone, space around Earth came alive with activity. Hundreds of ships appeared from their hiding places. Communication networks activated. The normal business of a galactic civilization resumed. In the command center under Eir, the Pacific Ocean, Jinwoo marked the mission as complete. Contact Protocol 7 has ended successfully, he announced. The Velkari believe Earth is a primitive world. Mission accomplished. But this was just the beginning. The Velkari would report their findings to the Galactic Council. Other species would learn about the primitive humans of Earth. And humans would continue to watch, to learn, and to slowly, carefully shape the galaxy from the shadows. The game was just beginning. 200 years before the Velkari discovered Earth, General Sung-hyun stood in front of a massive star map in the deepest bunker on Earth. The year was 2187, and humanity had just made the most important discovery in their history. "Show me." "The artifact again," Sung-hyun said to the scientists around him. Dr. Da-yoon activated a holographic display. In the center of the room appeared the image of a strange, crystal device, about the size of a human hand. The crystal seemed to bend, light around itself, creating patterns that hurt to look at directly. "We found it in the ruins on Kepler 442b, Da-yoon explained. "The ruins are at least 50,000 years old, maybe older. This device contains the complete technical specifications for faster-than-light travel." Sung-hyun studied the artifact carefully. 3 months ago, humanity's first interstellar expedition had discovered ancient ruins on a planet 20 light-years from Earth. The ruins belonged to a species that had died out long before humans even existed, but they had left behind technology that would change everything. "And it works?" Sung-hyun asked. "We tested it on a small probe last week," replied engineer Sun-woo. "The probe traveled from Earth to Alpha Centauri in 6 hours. Faster-than-light travel is not only possible, it is surprisingly easy once you understand the basic principles." Sung-hyun walked around the hologram, thinking carefully. This discovery would let humans spread across the galaxy. They could build colonies on distant worlds, explore thousands of star systems, and finally take their place among the stars. But it would also bring them into contact with alien species. And Sung-hyun was not sure humanity was ready for that. "Have we detected any other intelligent species yet?" he asked. Dr. Junho, the expedition's chief biologist, stepped forward. "Our deep space sensors have found radio signals from at least 12 different civilizations within 100 light-years of Earth. Some of these signals are very advanced. These species have technology that is far beyond what we can understand." "Then we have a problem," Sung-hyun said quietly. The other scientists looked confused. "Sir?" Da-hyun asked. "Think about it," Sung-hyun explained. "We just learned to travel faster than light, but there are 12 species out there that have been doing it for who knows how long. They are older than us, more experienced than us, and probably much more advanced. If we announce our presence, what happens?" The room fell silent as everyone considered this question. "They might try to control us," Sun-woo said slowly. "They might see us as a threat," Junho added. "Or they might simply not care about us at all," Da-hyun finished. Sung-hyun nodded. "Exactly. We are the newcomers in a galaxy that already has established powers. If we want to survive and grow, we need to be very careful about how we do it." Over the following weeks, Sung-hyun worked with Earth's best strategists, scientists, and philosophers to develop a plan. They called it the long game. Instead of announcing humanity's presence to the galaxy, they would stay hidden. They would explore carefully, learn about other species, and slowly build their strength. Only when they were ready would they reveal themselves. The first part of the plan was exploration. Captain Da-yoon led the mission to establish humanity's first secret colony. Her ship, disguised to look like a simple asteroid, carried 50 volunteers to a planet in the Vega system. "Remember," Da-yoon told her team as they prepared to land, "we do not exist. Our colony does not exist. If any alien species discovers this world, we are not here." The colonists spent 2 years building their hidden base. They dug deep underground, built factories inside mountains, and learned to live without leaving any signs that might be detected from space. When other human ships arrived, the colony was completely invisible from orbit. But staying hidden was only the beginning. The second part of the long game was much more dangerous. Humanity needed to learn about alien species by getting close to them. Very close. Ambassador Yuna volunteered for the first infiltration mission. Dr. Junho had been working on genetic modification techniques that could change human appearance. With the right modifications and a biosuit, a human could look exactly like an alien. "The process is dangerous," Junho warned Yuna before her transformation. "We will change your bone structure, your skin color, your internal organs, and even the way your brain processes information. You will look like a Rigelian, think like a Rigelian, and act like a Rigelian, but you will still be human inside." Yuna spent 6 months in the medical facility as doctors carefully changed her body. When the process was complete, she looked exactly like a member of the Rigelian Republic. Even her closest friends would not recognize her. "How do I look?" she asked, speaking in the complex whistling language of the Rigelians. "Perfect," Junho replied. "You could walk into the Rigelian capital tomorrow, and no one would suspect you are not one of them." And that is exactly what Yuna did. She created a false identity as a Rigelian merchant and traveled to their homeworld. Within 5 years, she was working for the Rigelian government. Within 10 years, she was advising their trade ministry. The Rigelians trusted her completely and shared their technology, their plans, and their secrets with her. Yuna's success led to more infiltration missions. Human agents, modified to look like different alien species, spread across the galaxy. They became soldiers, scientists, traders, and diplomats. They learned alien languages, studied alien cultures, and slowly worked their way into positions of trust and influence. But the long game was not just about spying. Humans also began to influence galactic events from behind the scenes. The first major test came during the Centauri crisis. 2 alien species, the Centaurians and the Betans, were about to start a war over mining rights in a star system. The war would have killed millions and destroyed several colonies. Commander Wanbin, working undercover as a Centaurian military advisor, had an idea. What if both species discovered a new source of the minerals they are fighting over? Working with other human agents, Wanbin arranged for ancient ruins to be discovered on an uninhabited planet. The ruins contained mining equipment that could extract the needed minerals much more efficiently than either species had ever seen. Both sides got what they wanted, and the war was avoided. The aliens never knew that the ruins were built by humans, or that the ancient mining equipment was human technology made to look old. As the decades passed, human influence grew. They prevented wars, guided scientific discoveries, and helped stable governments stay in power. The galaxy became more peaceful, more prosperous, and more united. But the alien species believed they had done it all themselves. Dr. Nari developed the psychological profiles that made this possible. By studying alien species for years, she learned to understand how they thought, what they feared, and what they wanted. This knowledge let human agents manipulate alien behavior without the aliens ever realizing it. Each species has patterns, Nari explained to a group of new infiltration agents. The Velkari always choose the safe option. The Zephyrians always want to look powerful. The crystalline think in terms of mathematical efficiency. If you understand these patterns, you can predict what they will do and guide them toward better choices. The long game worked so well that humans began to forget they were playing it. Generations of children grew up in hidden colonies, learning alien languages and preparing to take their parents' places as secret agents. Some human colonies specialized in copying one particular alien species so perfectly that they almost became that species. Engineer Sunwoo, now an old man, stood in the same command center where the long game had begun. The star map now showed hundreds of human colonies, thousands of human agents, and dozens of alien species that had no idea humans existed. "Have we become too good at this?" Sunwoo asked his aide. "What do you mean, sir?" "Look at this map. We have people everywhere, influencing everything. The galaxy runs the way it does because we make it run that way. These alien species think they are making their own choices, but we are guiding every decision. Are we helping them, or are we controlling them?" It was a question that would haunt humanity for years to come. They had become the galaxy's secret guardians, but guardians and masters were sometimes the same thing. The long game continued. Human agents worked their way higher in alien governments. Human colonies spread to new worlds. Human technology, disguised as alien discoveries, continued to improve life across the galaxy. And on Earth, hidden beneath the oceans and mountains, the true human civilization grew more powerful every year. They watched the galaxy through millions of eyes, guided its development through thousands of hands, and protected its peace through hundreds of carefully planned interventions. The aliens of the galaxy lived in the world that humanity had built. For them, But they would never know it because the long game demanded that humans remain forever in the shadows. President Taehyung stood before the greatest gathering in galactic history. Representatives from over 200 species filled the massive assembly hall of the Galactic Council. They had come from every corner of known space for the millennial assembly, a celebration that happened only once every 1,000 years. None of them knew they were about to witness the end of the greatest deception in galactic history. "My fellow beings," President Taehyung said, speaking in the common galactic language, "today marks the beginning of a new age for our galaxy." The alien delegates listened politely. Taehyung appeared to be a representative from the Neutral Commerce Guild, the organization that had mediated so many peace agreements over the centuries. The Guild was respected throughout the galaxy for its fairness and wisdom. What the delegates did not know was that the Neutral Commerce Guild had always been a human organization, and President Taehyung was about to tell them that. In orbit above the Council world, Admiral Chaeyoung commanded the largest space fleet ever assembled. To the aliens below, it looked like a standard peacekeeping force made up of ships from dozens of different species. But every single ship was actually human, crewed by agents who had lived their entire lives disguised as aliens. "All stations prepare for Revelation Protocol," Admiral Chaeyoung announced. "This is not a drill." Throughout the galaxy, similar preparations were taking place. On hundreds of worlds, in thousands of space stations, human agents were getting ready to drop their disguises and reveal their true nature. It was the most coordinated operation in human history. In the Council Assembly Hall, President Taehyung continued his speech. "For centuries, our galaxy has enjoyed unprecedented peace," he said. "Wars that once claimed millions of lives have been prevented. Conflicts between species have been resolved through diplomacy. Scientific discoveries have been shared freely, leading to prosperity for all." The alien delegates nodded and made sounds of agreement in their various languages. This was all true, and they were proud of what they had accomplished together. "But today," President Taehyung continued, "I must tell you something that will change everything you believe about your history." The hall fell silent. Even species that rarely paid attention to political speeches were listening now. "The peace, you have enjoyed the prosperity you have built. The cooperation between your species, none of it happened naturally. It was all carefully planned and guided by a species you believe to be primitive and unimportant." President Taehyung reached up and touched his neck. The biosuit that made him look like a member of the Commerce Guild dissolved, revealing a human man underneath. "My name is President Taehyung," he said, now speaking in his natural human voice. "I am a member of the species you call humans, and we have been living among you in secret for over 200 years. The reaction was immediate and chaotic. Delegates jumped to their feet, shouting in dozens of different languages. Some demanded explanations. Others called for security. A few simply stared in shock. Ambassador Jinsu, humanity's chief diplomat, stepped forward to join President Taehyung on the stage. Unlike the president, he had always appeared as a human in his role as Earth's representative to the galaxy. "Please," Ambassador Jinsu called out, using a voice amplifier to be heard over the noise. "Let us explain." "Explain what?" roared the Velkari delegate. "That you have been spying on us? That you have been lying to us for centuries?" "Explain how we have been protecting you," President Taehyung replied calmly. Around the galaxy, other human agents were revealing themselves at the same moment. Dr. Jiho dropped her Kethmal disguise in the middle of a scientific conference. Agent Kyungmin revealed his true identity to the shocked Zephyrian court. Commander Hyuk appeared as himself on the bridge of a Velkari exploration ship. The simultaneous revelation created a wave of shock that spread across known space faster than light itself. Back in the assembly hall, President Taehyung activated a holographic display that filled the chamber. It showed a timeline of galactic history over the past 2 centuries, but with a difference. This version showed the hidden human influence behind every major event. The Centauri crisis that was resolved through clever diplomacy, President Taehyung explained. Human agents prevented that war by providing both sides with alternative resources. The technological breakthroughs that revolutionized your civilizations. Many of them came from human research, shared through carefully placed discoveries. The trade agreements that brought prosperity to distant worlds. Human economists designed those systems to benefit everyone involved. The alien delegates watched in stunned silence as centuries of their history were rewritten before their eyes. Dr. Vorthak, the Kethmal scientist who had discovered the truth months earlier, stood up from his seat in the assembly. "I can confirm that everything President Taehyung is telling you is accurate," he said. "I have spent the past several months working with human agents. Their influence on galactic development has been extensive, careful, and ultimately beneficial." "Beneficial?" screeched the crystalline delegate, her patterns flashing angry red. "They have manipulated us like puppets." General Yujin, commander of humanity's defensive forces, appeared on the stage next to President Taehyung. "We have guided you," she corrected. "There is a difference." "What difference?" demanded the Zephyrian representative. "At any time in the past 2 centuries, humanity could have conquered this galaxy," General Yujin replied. "We had the technology, the organization, and the strategic position to defeat every other species. But we chose to protect you instead," she activated another holographic display, this one showing the true extent of human civilization. The aliens gasped as they saw thousands of hidden colonies, millions of disguised agents, and technology far beyond anything they had imagined. "This is our real fleet," Admiral Cheong said, speaking from orbit. At her command, every human ship in the peacekeeping force dropped its disguise, revealing sleek vessels with capabilities that dwarfed anything the aliens possessed. "These are our real colonies," Dr. Seojin added, appearing via hologram from a hidden research station. The display showed massive space habitats, underwater cities on Earth, and industrial complexes built inside asteroids throughout the galaxy. The alien delegates stared at the displays in shock and fear. They were completely outmatched. If humans wanted to conquer them, they could do it easily. "Then why?" asked the Velkari delegate quietly. "Why hide? Why protect us instead of ruling us?" President Taehyung looked out at the assembly with genuine compassion. "Because ruling you was never our goal. When we first discovered that we were not alone in the galaxy, we realized we had a choice. We could announce our presence and compete with you for resources and territory, or we could work secretly to make sure everyone succeeded together. We chose cooperation over competition," Ambassador Jinsu added. "We chose to be guardians instead of conquerors." "But you lied to us," protested the Rigelian delegate. "We protected you," replied Dr. Seojin. "Do you know what would have happened to this galaxy without human guidance?" "We do. We ran the calculations." Another holographic display showed computer simulations of galactic development without human intervention. Wars, resource depletion, technological stagnation, and eventually the collapse of most civilizations. "Within 50 years, you would have fought a war that killed billions," Dr. Seojin continued. "Within 100 years, half the species in this room would have destroyed themselves. Within 200 years, this galaxy would have been a wasteland." The assembly fell silent as they absorbed this information. Dr. Vorthak spoke again. "I have verified these calculations. They are accurate. Without human intervention, our galaxy would have destroyed itself long ago." "So what happens now?" asked the Kethmal delegate. President Taehyung smiled. "Now we work together openly. No more secrets, no more deceptions. We propose the creation of a new galactic covenant, with all species as equal partners." "Equal partners?" the Zephyrian delegate buzzed skeptically. "When you obviously have superior technology and capabilities?" "Technology can be shared," replied Dr. Seojin. "In fact, we are prepared to share everything with you immediately. Our medical advances, our energy systems, our faster-than-light improvements, all of it." "Why would you do that?" asked the crystalline delegate, her patterns now showing confusion instead of anger. "Because we are stronger together," President Taehyung explained. "We revealed ourselves now because this galaxy faces a new threat. Something is coming from beyond the galactic rim, something that will require all of us working together to survive. General Yujin activated one final display. It showed the edge of the galaxy, where human deep space monitors had detected massive alien structures moving through the void between galaxies. "We call them the Devourers," she said. "They consume entire star systems, turning matter into energy for their journey. They will reach the outer rim of our galaxy in approximately 50 years. The alien delegates looked at the display with growing fear. The structures were enormous, clearly artificial, and moving with purpose toward their galaxy. "We cannot fight them alone," President Taehyung said. "No single species can. But together, with our combined knowledge and resources, we might have a chance." The Velkari delegate was the first to speak. Dr. Vorthak stood in his laboratory on the Kethmal homeworld, staring at data that made no sense. As the leading statistician for the Kethmal Science Institute, he had spent his entire career studying patterns. But the patterns he was seeing now were impossible. The Kethmal were a species that looked like tall, thin humanoids with gray skin and large black eyes. They were known throughout the galaxy for their analytical minds and love of mathematics. If anyone could spot the statistical anomalies in galactic development, it would be them. "Computer, show me the technological development timeline for the past 200 years, Vorthak said in his species' quiet, precise language. The holographic display filled his lab with floating charts and graphs. Each line represented a different alien species and how quickly they had developed new technology. "This cannot be correct," Vorthak muttered. "Computer, verify all data sources." "All data verified," the computer responded. "Sources include official records from 47 different civilizations." But that was exactly what bothered Vorthak. According to the data, 47 different species had all developed faster-than-light communication at almost exactly the same time. They had all discovered new mining techniques within a 5-year period. They had all solved major energy problems using nearly identical methods. The probability of this happening naturally was so small that Vorthak's computer could not even calculate it. "There must be a source," he said to himself. "Some central point where these technologies originated." What Vorthak did not know was that Dr. Jiho had been watching him for 3 weeks. She worked in the same research institute disguised as a Kethmal scientist named Thin Thought of Numbers. Her job was to monitor Kethmal scientific research and make sure they never discovered anything that might expose humanity's influence. But Vorthak was getting dangerously close to the truth. "Thin Thought of Numbers," Vorthak called to her across the lab. "Could you look at these development patterns? I think I may have found something important." Dr. Jiho walked over to his workstation, her biosuit making her look exactly like a Kethmal. "What have you discovered?" "Statistical impossibilities," Vorthak replied, pointing to his displays. "Look at these technological development curves. They are too smooth, too coordinated. It is as if someone has been guiding galactic development from behind the scenes." Dr. Jiho felt a chill of fear. This was exactly the kind of investigation that could expose the long game. "Perhaps there is a simpler explanation," she suggested. "Trade relationships could account for the similar timing. When one species develops a new technology, they often share it with their trading partners." "I thought of that," Vorthak said. "But look at this data. Many of these species had no contact with each other when they made their discoveries. Some of them were even at war with each other, yet they all developed the same solutions to the same problems." Dr. Jiho tried another approach. "Could it be natural convergent evolution? Similar problems might naturally lead to similar solutions." "Not this similar," Vorthak replied. "And not this coordinated. No, there is definitely a pattern here. Someone or something has been influencing galactic development. I just need to figure out who." That night, Dr. Jiho sent an encrypted message to the Shadow Council. The message was hidden inside routine scientific data and looked completely innocent. But to the humans monitoring Kethmal space, it was a red alert. "We have a problem," she reported. "Vorthak is getting too close. His analysis is correct. If he continues this investigation, he will eventually discover our influence." Director Hanul read the report in her command center. This was the scenario they had always feared. Someone smart enough and persistent enough to see through the careful deception that had hidden humanity for centuries. Options? Hanul asked. Her team, Commander Minho, head of security operations, spoke first. We could eliminate him. Make it look like an accident. Too dangerous, replied Scholar Yunji, who managed humanity's historical cover stories. Vorthak is too prominent. His death would attract attention and might inspire others to continue his research. Investigator Isel offered a different solution. We could redirect his investigation, give him false leads that point toward a different conclusion. What kind of conclusion? Hanul asked. Make him think there is a single ancient alien species. That left technology caches throughout the galaxy. Many civilizations already believe in precursor races that disappeared long ago. We could create evidence to support that theory. It was a good plan, but Hanul was not sure it would work. Vorthak was too smart and too careful. He would see through false evidence eventually. There is another option, Dr. Jiho reported from the Kethmal homeworld. We could recruit him. Recruit him? Hanul asked. He is not human. He would never understand or accept what we have been doing. Maybe not, Dr. Jiho replied. But the Kethmal value truth above everything else. If we told him the complete truth about humanity's role in galactic development, he might be willing to help us continue it. It was a dangerous gamble. No alien had ever been told the truth about humanity's hidden influence. But all the other options were even more dangerous. Do it, Hanul decided. But be very careful. If this goes wrong, we could lose everything. 3 days later, Dr. Jiho approached Vorthak in his laboratory. I have been thinking about your research, she said. I believe you are correct. Someone has been guiding galactic development. Would you like to know who? Vorthak looked up from his data with intense interest. You know something? I know everything, Dr. Jiho replied. But first I need you to come with me. There are some people you need to meet. She led him to a transportation pad that he had never seen before, hidden in the basement of the Research Institute. The pad activated with a soft blue glow, and suddenly they were not on the Kethmal homeworld anymore. They stood in a vast chamber filled with technology that was far more advanced than anything Vorthak had ever seen. Hundreds of beings worked at control stations, but as Vorthak looked more closely, he realized that something was wrong. They all look like different species, he said slowly, but they move the same way. They have the same mannerisms. Very observant, Dr. Jiho said. She reached up and touched her neck. The biosuit that made her look like a Kethmal dissolved, revealing a human woman underneath. Hello, Vorthak. My real name is Dr. Jiho, and I am a member of the species you call humans. Vorthak stared at her in shock. But humans are primitive. They were just discovered 2 months ago. They barely have space travel. That is what we wanted you to think, Dr. Jiho replied. The truth is much more complicated. She led him to a briefing room where Captain Minho was waiting. Like Dr. Jiho, Minho had dropped his alien disguise and appeared as a human. Dr. Vorthak, Minho said, you have discovered that someone has been guiding galactic development for the past 200 years. That someone is us, humanity. For the next 6 hours, they told Vorthak everything. They showed him the hidden human colonies spread across dozens of star systems. They explained how human agents had infiltrated every major government in the galaxy. They revealed the artificial crises that had been created to promote peace and cooperation. They demonstrated the technology that let humans appear as any alien species. Vorthak listened to it all with the calm, analytical mind that had made him such a good scientist. When they finished, he sat in silence for several minutes. The statistical patterns make sense now, he said finally. You have been manipulating galactic development to create a more peaceful and stable civilization. That was our goal, Dr. Jiho agreed. But you have also been lying to every other species in the galaxy. You have made us believe we were making our own choices when you were actually controlling everything. We guided your choices, Minho corrected. But the choices were still yours to make. We simply made sure you had better information and fewer reasons to choose violence. Vorthak stood up and walked to the room's large window. which showed a view of space filled with human ships and stations. How many others know the truth? You are the first non-human we have ever told, Dr. Jiho replied. And now you want me to keep your secret. We want you to help us, Minho said. Your people, the Kethmal, are known for your wisdom and analytical abilities. You could help us make better decisions about how to guide galactic development. Vorthak turned back to face them. And if I refuse? Then we will have to find another solution, Minho replied carefully. Vorthak understood the implication. If he would not help them and could not be trusted to keep their secret, then he was a threat that would have to be eliminated. You are asking me to betray my own species, Vorthak said. We are asking you to help protect all species, Dr. Jiho replied, including your own. Do you really think the galaxy would be better off if humans stopped guiding its development? Do you want to return to the wars and conflicts that existed before we began the long game? Vorthak looked out the window again at the vast human civilization that existed in secret throughout the galaxy. These humans had the technology and organization to destroy every other species if they wanted to, but instead, they had chosen to protect and guide those species, even at great cost to themselves. Your deception has prevented countless wars, he said slowly. Your guidance has led to unprecedented peace and prosperity. Director Hanul looked at the 3 large screens in the Human Shadow Council's command center. Each screen showed a different alien leader, and each leader was angry enough to start a war. The year was 2387, just 2 months after the Velkari had discovered primitive Earth. On the first screen, the crystalline hegemony's queen mind pulsed with bright red patterns. The crystalline were beings made of living crystal, who communicated through colored light displays. Red meant anger, and this red was very bright. On the second screen, Emperor Volak of the Zephyrian Empire gestured with his 4 arms as he spoke to his advisors. The Zephyrians looked like giant insects and believed that showing strength was more important than anything else. On the third screen, President Korthak of the Velkari Republic hissed and clicked his tongue, the way Velkari did when they were upset. Status report, Hanul said to her team. Agent Kyungmin, who had been living disguised as a Zephyrian noble for 15 years, spoke first. The Zephyrians are convinced that the crystalline are trying to steal their mining colonies in the Arcturus sector. Emperor Volak wants to send a battle fleet to show his strength. Specialist Su Yung, monitoring communications across the galaxy, added her report. The crystalline believe the Zephyrians are planning to attack their trade routes. Queen Mind thinks this is an act of war and wants to strike first. Commander Wanbin, who had prevented the Centauri crisis years earlier, finished the briefing. The Velkari are caught in the middle. Both sides want them to choose allies. President Korthak is leaning toward the crystalline because they offered a better trade deal. Hanul studied the 3 screens carefully. This crisis had been building for months. 3 of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations were about to go to war over resources in a region of space that contained some of the richest mining worlds in the known galaxy. Millions of people would die. Trillions of credits worth of infrastructure would be destroyed. The peace that humans had carefully built over 2 centuries would collapse, but the 3 alien leaders did not know that human agents had been watching and guiding this crisis from the beginning. They did not know that the resource shortage that started the conflict had been artificially created, and they certainly did not know that the solution to their problem was already being prepared. Phase 1 is complete, Hanul announced to her team. All 3 governments are exactly where we need them to be. Begin Phase 2. On the Zephyrian homeworld, Agent Kyungmin attended the Emperor's War Council. He had spent 15 years building his identity as Lord Vextal, a minor noble from one of the Empire's outer worlds. The Zephyrians trusted him completely. My Emperor, Kyungmin said, speaking in the clicking, buzzing language of the Zephyrians. Perhaps we should consider our options carefully. The crystalline are strong, but they are also predictable. Instead of fighting them directly, we could outmaneuver them. Emperor Volak's compound eyes focused on Kyungmin. Explain. The disputed sector contains 17 mining worlds, Kyungmin continued. But there are also 3 uninhabited systems nearby that have never been properly surveyed. What if we discovered that these systems contained even richer resources? The crystalline would look foolish fighting over inferior worlds while we claimed the better ones. The Emperor's advisors buzzed with interest. This was exactly the kind of clever strategy that Zephyrians admired. And how would we make such a discovery? The Emperor asked. I have contacts among the independent survey teams, Kyung-min lied smoothly. For a reasonable fee, they could conduct a thorough survey of those systems. If they find what I think they will find, we would have a much stronger position. What Kyung-min did not mention was that human teams had already surveyed those systems. They contained exactly the resources the Zephyrians needed, and those resources had been placed there by human mining ships over the past 50 years. Meanwhile, on the crystalline homeworld, Dr. Jiho worked on a different part of the solution. She had been living as a crystalline scientist named Bright Thought of Harmony for 12 years. The biosuit that made her look like a crystal being was one of humanity's most advanced pieces of technology. Queen Mind, Dr. Jiho pulsed in patterns of blue and green light. I have been analyzing the conflict with the Zephyrians. My mathematical models suggest that war would be extremely costly for both sides. The Queen Mind's patterns shifted to curious yellow. Show me your calculations, Bright Thought of Harmony. Dr. Jiho projected her analysis into the shared consciousness that all crystalline used to communicate complex ideas. The analysis was completely accurate because it was based on real military capabilities that human agents had carefully studied for decades. According to these models, Dr. Jiho continued, a war would consume 67% of our resources over 5 years, with only a 34% chance of total victory. However, there is an alternative approach with a 91% success rate. The Queen Mind's patterns showed intense interest. Crystalline beings loved mathematical certainty. There are uninhabited systems near the disputed zone that contain superior resources, Dr. Jiho explained. If we could claim these systems through diplomatic means rather than military action, we would gain more resources than we would by winning the war. But how can we be certain these resources exist? The Queen Mind asked. I propose we request a neutral survey, Dr. Jiho replied. The Neutral Commerce Guild has an excellent reputation for accurate surveys. They could confirm the resources in these systems and their report would be accepted by all parties. The Queen Mind agreed to this plan, never suspecting that the Neutral Commerce Guild was actually a human organization that had been operating under alien identity for over a century. On the Velkari homeworld, the third part of the plan was already in motion. Investigator Isul had been working in the Velkari government for 8 years as a diplomatic analyst named Sekthal. When the Zephyrian and Crystalline ambassadors both approached the Velkari for support, Isul was ready with the perfect solution. President Korthak, Isul said during a private meeting. Both the Zephyrians and Crystalline are asking us to choose sides. But what if there was a third option? Explain, the president replied. What if the Velkari Republic became the mediator in this dispute? We could offer to host peace negotiations. We could present ourselves as the wise, neutral party that prevents a galactic war. The other species would respect our leadership, and we would gain influence with both sides. President Korthak liked this idea very much. The Velkari always preferred diplomatic solutions to military ones, and the idea of being seen as galactic peacekeepers appealed to their sense of pride. But why would the other sides agree to negotiate? Korthak asked. Because, Isul said with a careful smile, new information is about to come to light that will change everything. 2 weeks later, the Neutral Commerce Guild released its survey results. The 3 uninhabited systems near the disputed zone contained resource deposits that were far richer than anything in the areas the Zephyrians and Crystalline had been fighting over. The reaction was immediate. Emperor Volak announced that the Zephyrian Empire was withdrawing its claims to the disputed zone and would instead focus on the newly discovered systems. Queen Mind made a similar announcement for the Crystalline hegemony. President Korthak offered to host a conference to divide the new systems fairly between all interested parties. In the Shadow Council's command center, Director Hanul watched. The crisis resolved exactly as planned. Status report, she said again. All 3 leaders have accepted the Velkari offer to mediate. Commander Wanbin reported. They will meet on the neutral world of Harmony Station in 6 weeks. And Harmony Station? Hanul asked. Is completely controlled by human agents, Specialist Suyong replied. The station commander, the negotiation staff, the security teams, and even the catering service are all our people in disguise. Hanul nodded with satisfaction. The galaxy's 3 most powerful civilizations were about to attend a peace conference that would be run entirely by humans pretending to be neutral aliens. The final agreement would be written by human negotiators, signed in a human-controlled facility, and would establish terms that served human interests perfectly. But the aliens would never know any of this. They would believe they had solved the crisis through their own wisdom and diplomacy. 6 weeks later, the Harmony Accords were signed. The disputed zone was declared a neutral trade area managed by the Velkari Republic. The 3 newly surveyed systems were divided equally between the Zephyrian Empire and the Crystalline Hegemony. All 3 civilizations agreed to share technology and resources for future exploration projects. The peace treaty was celebrated across the galaxy as proof that different species could work together to solve their problems. Scholars wrote books about the wisdom of the negotiators. Politicians gave speeches about the triumph of diplomacy over warfare. None of them knew that the entire crisis had been created and resolved by the same hidden human civilization that had been guiding galactic affairs for over 2 centuries. In her private office, Director Hanul looked at a new star map. The 3 systems that had caused the peace were now being developed by Zephyrian and crystalline colonies. But the companies doing the development were secretly owned by human interests.